that interest. Well, he does best, so can't really begrudge him at that. But for the way we want to play, we need someone that can cut in and help build our play from the midfield. And I think, I wasn't at all surprised to see Zinchenko thrown in today. Like, my heart honestly bleeds for Kieran Tierney because I love the guy so much, and he really did deserve to play today. But the fact of the matter is, Zinchenko's really good, and we play really well when he's in the team. And can't fault him at all today. Did really well. Did a really good job on Raheem Sterling. And I think we've all been quite apprehensive maybe about his defensive capabilities, but I tell you what, that side of his game today really shone through. I thought he was really good defensively, works really well. With the players around him, you wouldn't think he'd been out of the team for 5-ish weeks. So yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like the natural selection that he's going to be first choice for the minute. But when Tierney came on for that 20-minute spell, excellent when he came on as well. Certainly provided a lot going forwards, and it's great to have. I mean, I suppose 3 good options at left back now. I mean, Tomiyasu still isn't my favourite one, but at least in
Cookie, hold on a second. I think there's a problem with the. Can anyone hear us out there?
Oh, sounds ominous.
Yeah, there's a slight problem. We might have to start again. It says everyone's in the chat room, but Cole says he can't see us or hear us. I don't know what's happened. Right, is everyone? Can you hear us? People are saying yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Cool. Okay.
Maybe Cole's got his computer muted.
Maybe Cole's not listening. Sorry, everybody. I just was right. Everyone's saying yes. So carry on. Sorry.
That's fine. No, that was me pretty much summed up there. I'll let you take over.
Okay. Albert, sorry, I've just been thrown by that because I got...
No, it's fine. Everyone's all right in the chat.
So Robert's saying, I can see you, but it came on late. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I pressed it, but then I noticed it said 0 in the chat room, but I could see you all. And then it said 26 people were chatting 4 minutes ago. So I do apologise. I don't know what's happened, but hopefully you can hear us all now. Right. People can still see us now? Yeah? I'm just going to carry on because I think so. I don't know what to do. I'm not very IT-fied. Sorry about this. Right. Albert, Tommy, Tierney, Zinny, what do you reckon?
It's like you said, really. I kind of mentioned this about in regards to Tierney. I think it's just purely and simply down to managing his injuries. We've got 2 players at Arsenal that are high risk, Amanda. That's Thomas Partey and Tierney. Tierney's had injury issues going back to Celtic days, which has been documented. So, to me, that's the only reason. And we're going to play a lot more games, Amanda, this season. So I'm not too, like James has mentioned, with Tomiyasu's not my. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't have a problem if he deputised that position. But yeah, I didn't expect Tierney to start today. I knew Zinchenko was obviously back in training and in contention, but Arteta he's very integral, Amanda, Zinchenko, to how we want to play, really, because Zinny plays in that role where he's not just you're not an orthodox left back, and he comes into central areas and we're better in possession. So you can see why he started today, and he was influential. So to me, it's not a big problem. It's a good problem to have, Amanda, where we can have people that deputise when our in inverted commas first teamers are not available to play. So not a major issue. And I think you've seen a pattern in the Premier League games in terms of our starting 11s where there's the odd change here or there. There's not many. The first team's kind of cemented, really. So no issues with Tierney starting today.
So Phil Macker, welcome to the show, Phil. Getting used to Tierney not playing regularly from the start. Arteta knows. Listen, we're not losing, are we? So it is odd, isn't it? Because we're convinced if Tommy was not playing, it would have been Tierney today. I honestly thought he was going to start him. But to be fair, it was lovely to have Zinny back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How do you think he played overall?
Go on, Cookie.
I mean, I thought he was really good. He slotted in, like I said before, it looked like he hadn't been away for a while. I mean, he's been away. It's not like a short stint out of the team. He's been away for 5 weeks. And he came in having not played a huge amount of games in training. And slotted in perfectly. Was integral to the way we went forwards. Defensively, really resilient. Solid 7 out of 10. And that's all you can ask from your fullbacks. And if everyone gives a solid 7 out of 10 every week, then we'll carry on doing as we're doing.
I've got to be honest, in regards to Tierney, I do feel his third choice now. I just feel when Arteta Arteta stumbles upon something, he doesn't change it. So I see Tomiyasu being second string left back. That's from Robert Stevens. Welcome to the show, Rob. Albert, what do you think about that comment?
No, I don't think that's the reason. I think is you've kind of touched upon it, Amanda. Really, people can't have short memories of Tierney. As much as I love him, Scottish Braveheart, the whole Tesco's bag thing. He's had a lot. He's had a lot of injuries, a hell of a lot of injuries. And it is, to me, it's a case of he's been managed back. We're gonna have a lot. Imagine we're back in Europe. Technically, we're still in 2 domestic cup competitions. So there's going to be a lot of games. We're not going to have them playing a run of 15, 20 games. It just doesn't happen. So I don't think it's that. I don't think that's the reason. I generally think it's the reason that I think most Arsenal fans think, you know what, he's had a bit of injury trouble since he's come to the club and in his career, and that's what it comes down to for me.
I agree. And last point on this, Mark Bakrajan. Hi, Mark. Hope you're well. Zinchenko plays a system that Arteta wants. Katie is still adapting to it, but has done well when called upon. I think this is what it comes down to. And maybe managing a little bit of his injuries. It doesn't hurt that he doesn't play every game. We're not losing. So let's just, carry on with it. It was just a question I wanted to ask. Okay, so, because I've been thrown now. So, nothing personal. I do not understand why players who leave any football club go and do a TV advert like that before a game. I mean, you are going to be slaughtered if what happened like it did today. Not only did Aubameyang play awful, Chelsea played awful when he got substituted, and we go and beat them. If it was me and I was Aubameyang, I would have said no to the TV company to do that. It's disrespectful for a start to us. And he didn't look comfortable doing it, did he, Cooks? I think it's quite funny, though.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really the most enthusiastic, you could say, when he was doing it. But to be honest, I really don't care about this sort of thing. It's just marketing. It's just PR. It's just creating hype around it. I just think, there's not too much point reading into it. If you watch it back, it feels like they've almost wrapped on the shoot, and they say to him, let's just do this quick thing ahead of the Chelsea game that we've got in November, and he's just kind of agreed to it reluctantly, not thinking. You might not even think it would go out anywhere or be used. The way BT have used it, it's pretty clever. It creates that hype, and obviously it's created discussion, which is why we're talking about it now. So it served its purpose. But regarding his performance today, I thought it was the Aubameyang that we saw for the last at least 12 months of his career at Arsenal. And I think he had, 8 touches before he went off? Yep. Jesus had 62 in the whole game. And that's just the stark difference of where we are now. And I do not miss him in the slightest. And Chelsea fans, they can look forward to a lot more of those type of performances from Aubameyang, because that's the sort of player he is. When it's under the cosh, he just goes missing. And he does score goals. Let's not forget that. He scores a shed load of goals. But when things aren't going for the team, then it's almost like playing with 10 men. I don't think that's an exaggeration. But I harbour no ill feeling towards him. We got the job done. He's moved on. We've moved on. We're top of the league there, wherever they are. Fantastic.
It is true. And I knew you'd say that, Cooks. But I do think that if you're going to do something like that, you're going to have to expect the backlash, because it's a bit childish, in my opinion. What do you think, Albert?
Yeah, I think Cookie's touched upon it in terms of the sort of the hype and build up around. They do that a lot of these, like whether it's Sky or BT, they try to ramp it up and whip up a storm. But with me and Mandu, with the whole, not even just the advert thing, the whole Aubameyang talk thing. I don't get sections of our fan base, man. And I think this is where the sentiment rules. Like, even when he's come back to England, for example, and I see people tweeting, he scored in the Champions League for Chelsea. I'm like, why does that even concern you? Like let it go. He's not our player anymore. And Cookie touched upon it. I mentioned this earlier in my show. Like, the performance, I don't care about systems or formations. Let's get that out there, right? If you look at this guy's individual performance today, it's exactly what we saw in the last bit of his tenure at Arsenal. What do you miss about that, Arsenal fans? Like, let's be serious. Like, come on, man. Like, we've got a striker now at the club, with our, Jesus, who, yes, goal drought.
We're just going to talk about that. Funny enough,
yeah,
go on.
He epitomized what he does for the team.
Oh, yeah,
is that should be talked about. That we should shine a light on that, not talking about a player scoring for Chelsea in the Champions League. I can't understand that mentality. He's not our player anymore.
No, I
Yes,
know.
he did a service at our club and he scored lots of goals, but he's not our player anymore. Let it
But
go,
Albert,
man.
when I said that, when he left, I got honestly untold Aubameyang fans coming after me on Twitter. And I didn't understand it. If we were selling somebody like Thomas Partey or William Saliba next week, I'd get it. But he hadn't done anything for us. He wasn't interested in us. But we're going to talk about Jesus in 2 seconds. But look who's come to say hello. We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league.
Craig.
That's Craig.
Of course, son.
Craig, lovely to have you here. It's probably him logging in that messed up my whole thing. I do not know, but we're all here now and everyone's good. So thank you for sticking with me because I don't know what happened at the beginning. Right, Albert, I just want to talk about this. On 30 minutes, I wrote this down. We had a beautiful move where Jesus headed, and as he did that on the telly, that much wide. Now, yes, should he have scored? Absolutely. I'm going to ask you both a question in a minute. I'm going to ask everyone in the chat room as well. And we're going to talk about Jesus now. I'm not worried about him scoring. He gives so much to the team. He is the epitome of tenacity. There we go. We don't need to worry at the moment. It's going to come. It's going to come. He's trying too hard at the moment, that's for sure. We're winning. We're top of the league. We're scoring goals in other avenues. But Cookie, are you worried? Are you concerned? No. Okay.
No,
anyone in the chat room, are you worried? Go on. Sorry, Cooks. Carry on.
No, it's fine. I think, if this was last season, and I think just touching on your previous point about why there was so much outrage regarding why Aubameyang left, I think it's because at that time our only other options were Lacazette, who we all knew was okay, but he wasn't quite what we needed. And behind him was Eddie. And it just wasn't really enough for that push to get top four at the time, which is why I can kind of ever so slightly understand the outrage. But like you, I mean, Aubameyang hadn't done anything for us for at least 12 months. So getting rid of him didn't really make any odds to me in the slightest.
But Cooks, they weren't coming after me for that reason.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I don't want to. I don't want to.
No, but they were coming after me because they think I didn't respect him, and Aubameyang's like God.
Well, that's social media for you, Amanda.
Yeah, I know. But I was a bit confused because why would you tweet about another player scoring when he don't even play for us? But anyway, moving on. Go on. So Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, since he's come in, he's just been a revelation. Like I said earlier, the amount of touches he had today compared to our previous striker that led the line. I mean, it's just it's night and day. And he did create a few good opportunities for himself today. There was one moment where he took it around about 3 Chelsea players. Was really unfortunate. I think someone got a good block in there. I mean, he just offers so much to this team. And he, we said maybe a year ago that Lacazette was the one who brought out the best in Martinelli and Saka. We've got a guy that's amplified that 4 or 5 times. And he really does bring out the best of the players around him. And if he, along with Martinelli, doesn't go to the World Cup, I mean, that's going to be a big blow for Brazil, I think, because they just offer so much. And Martinelli, I thought, was fairly quiet today. But the way he created that opportunity that Jesus really should have scored. That's the only thing that I can only criticize about him. He should have scored that. That's a given.
That's absolutely. Yeah. But do you agree with Jobo? Welcome to the show, my lovely Joe. He's more than a striker. I love his work rate and passion. I think generally that's what people are saying. But we know, don't we, James? If we were 4th, 5th in the league and we were missing chances like this, people would be on his back, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. But I still think it's different to the situation we had with Lacazette last season. I mean, Lacazette didn't run as much. He wasn't involved as much. Whereas Jesus, he pops up in midfield. He pops up on the left, on the right. He's everywhere. You could see he's trying to make things happen. So I think it would be, if we were 4th or 5th or wherever we were, we'd still probably be looking at that as an okay season. I think we're really exceeding where we thought we would be this season. But I think, just looking at the way he plays, I don't think there's anything to criticise. Like I said, the only thing that he needs to add to his game right now is just putting the ball in the back of the net. And he's got a great opportunity to do that next week against Wolves.
Yeah. So Phil Macker, Jesus is amazing for the team, but we do need him to be a goal scorer in 9. Albert, what do you answer to that?
There's 2 things with that. Your initial point was, should we be worried? I think he might be a little bit worried, but that's just because he's a striker and they want to score goals. So that's a small thing. I saw an article in The Guardian. It was a good piece, actually, about Jesus. And it said it was basically the moral of the article was he's probably not your 25 to 30 goal a man season, but he's what Arsenal need right now. And I couldn't have summed that up. That was summed up brilliantly. If he was playing poorly and was struggling to score goals or to not put away the opportunities, then it's a different debate and argument. But he's actually playing well. He's contributing to the team in more ways than one, and not more than just assisting and more than just pressing. He's brilliant. And even for someone of his size and sort of height, physically he's actually quite a decent player in that sense that you can trust him to hold the ball up. But the goals will come. When I initially saw the chance he had today from the great build-up play, I actually thought the cross was a bit too far for him. But when I saw the replay, I said, "Nah, he should have scored that.
Yeah,
He should definitely have scored that." And in games like that, where it's going to be tight against the other top 5 opposition, you have to take them chances, particularly when you're away from home as well. And the game's delicately poised at 0-0, but because he's playing so well, Manda, even without the goals, which is unfortunate, and that will come. It will come. It'll be a bigger concern if it continues for another 4 or 5 games. But hopefully in that time he'll still continue to contribute towards the team. So that's kind of where I sit with it, because ultimately strikers are judged by goals, which he'll not be happy about. So that's kind of my point.
I understand that, and you can generally see by the comments coming up, not many people are worried because we are where we are and we're doing what we're doing. And I just want to say a big hello to my dad. He's decided to join us tonight.
Go on, Kelvin.
Go on, Kelvin. If Jesus carries on the way he's playing, goals will come, and he's a great addition to our club. But if we do buy another striker, who would they replace? Very true, isn't it? James?
Who would they replace? I don't think they'd replace anyone. I mean, the only player I would swap Jesus for currently is the one that's been built in some Norwegian laboratory, and he's not going to be leaving City anytime soon. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to wax lyrical about Haaland, but my God, that guy has got everything.
Yeah.
He's got what Jesus has, but he's also got the goal scoring prowess. I mean, City are so lucky to have him, and I'm not going to talk about him too much, but I wouldn't swap Jesus for anyone. A striker for me is such a different role these days. I mean, you don't need a 30-plus goal a season man. I mean, we've gone through the likes of Van Persie in the past, and football's changed so much since then, and where we're getting goals now through the likes of Xhaka, even Partey, Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard. We've got players like Vieira that can chip in. Nelson last week, Fabio Vieira. I'm not worried about it at all. And the way he's like Zinchenko he's integral to the way we play. So yeah, thank you, Man City, for that.
Oh, absolutely. Another comment from hi, Melissa. Welcome to the show. Loves Jesus. Not too concerned about the lack of goals. Others are scoring, which is brilliant. Share the load. Other teams are now having to worry about our defenders scoring. Good point, Albert, isn't it? Because you would normally focus on the strikers like they do at Tottenham, Harry Kane or Son. Yeah. Well, you don't know where it's going to come from us. We have Partey scoring, Xhaka scoring, Gabriel scoring, Martinelli. It's coming. Tierney the other night. It's coming everywhere from all parts of the team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy because like you see with a lot of the sort of scrutiny and reaction to Arsenal games, and sometimes we complain about not taking our chances, which we still don't.
No.
But we're plus 20 goal difference. I mean, this time last season we was like -1, -2. I think it's incredible. But you're right. Like goals by committee is so massive, and it's no coincidence that we are on the good side of the goal difference wise, and we scored a lot of goals. And what's the stat, Amanda? I think it was we are the leading team in the Premier League with goals within the first 30 minutes. That's not a bad stat to have. In the Premier League, it's even more than City. So that's quite, there's been advances, and I think that's kind of a thing of Arteta having his own team and molding his team into what we're seeing this season, that we are in the final third. Even though even at times today, man, I was getting really frustrated, man, with our play in the final third, because we would cut Chelsea open.
Yeah.
On quite a few occasions, but just the final pass in the final third was just letting us down. But yeah, listen, plus 20 goal difference at this stage, man. The 34 points. I'd have bit your hand off to take that at this stage of the season.
Oh, my life. Do you know what? I went for 2-2 this game. Carl went for 4-1 or 4-2. I just felt this could be the one that stops us. Chelsea at home, they're going to be up for it. They were terrible. I would like to play them every week, to be honest. We weren't brilliant today. I don't care what anyone says. We weren't brilliant. We weren't like we were against Forest. I know it's a different game, but and they were appalling. But I'm going to just one last point on Jesus, and then we're going to move on to something else. Welcome to the pod G Talks Arsenal. Thanks for joining us. Alves, mate, and I'm going to get you on one day as well to come and talk to everybody.
He went 1-0 Arsenal.
Oh, well done.
He did.
Did anyone else have 1-0 Arsenal?
I went 2-1 Arsenal.
And did Gabriel score, or is it Saka? I still don't know.
Gabriel.
It's Gabriel, isn't it? Did anyone have 1-0 Gabriel there? G Talks Arsenal says, not worried about Jesus. He's a team player and has elevated since arriving.
Yeah, 100%.
As you're saying, Cooks, he's integral now, and it's come from City. Thank you, City. I thank my City friends every week for Zinchenko, and no, I seriously do. I wind them up every week and say, you can go top for about 10 minutes if you want, but we're going back there. Right, this is the next bit I was going to talk about anyway, was what Carl Stark just said. Thought the Partey was outstanding today. Now, towards the end of the game, when we were thinking about man of the match, he was very close for me. Him and Saliba, I couldn't sort of tear apart, pull apart as such, because is it just me, Cooks, or is Partey getting better and better and better every game?
It certainly feels like it. I mean, he knows his role inside out. We've waited so long for him to have this kind of sustained period in the team. And now he's kind of got that defined role, and the players around him have got defined roles. It really just feels like it's bringing the best out of him. And he was monstrous today. Like, absolutely fantastic. I thought Chelsea's midfield, with all due respect, felt a little bit lightweight. Jorginho just couldn't deal with him. Mount couldn't deal with him. I mean, both of those players were fairly non-existent in the entire game. And Jack, kind of similarly to the game against Forest, he kind of had the rubber to green to do whatever he wanted with the ball. He had so much time. His interceptions were fantastic. His tackling was brilliant. Jack alongside him again, very, very solid. But he's such an important player to us. And we talk about having a deputy for him. There's not a player in the world at the minute that can do what he does. So we can find someone that is capable of cover. But if we lose him for a sustained period of time, then we do have to do a big adaptation job, because he's just he's one of a kind. He's irreplaceable for me.
Oh, absolutely, Albert. I'm falling in love with Partey every single week. I mean, he started off playing really well for us and then got injured and wasn't great. And then he was misplacing passes and his shooting was atrocious. But I'm not one of these, as you know, I don't get on their back straight away. You've got to give them time to bed into the Premier League. If anyone remembers back to Robert Perez, oh my life, you'd have had him out. You'd have had him out and then ended up being the most wonderful player for us. So, just Partey, I could go on about him for a whole, show, but just want to interrupt to say to hi, Matt. Hello from Milwaukee, USA. Bruce, Milwaukee. Bruce City Gunners, massive results though. We had a pub capacity crowd at 6 a.m.
Wow.
This is why I love this is why I love the American fans. Honestly, I've seen so many pictures of all around America, all pubs at 6 o'clock. They are drinking. They've got Arsenal tops on. They're watching the game. So welcome to the show, Matt. Bring everyone to the show because you're all welcome here. That's for sure. Sorry. Where were we? Because I'm sort of lost my train of thought.
He's coming to me with Partey.
I was coming to you with Partey. Mark just came with a point. Partey had a great game, but took a certain goal off Martinelli's head. Didn't he? I remember that. Yeah. Come on, talk to me about Partey, Albert.
Yes, my fellow African brother. He's Ghanaian. We have a bit of rivalry, Nigerians and Ghanaians, but that's another story, man. That's another podcast, man. Listen, you see this guy, yeah? It's amazing what happens when your fitness and you play a run of games. In particular as well, what I've been impressed with him, it's not a surprise to see him with the quality that he has. Let's get that out of the way, because he showed that at Atletico Madrid, and we knew what we was getting. Just the injuries could tell that he missed a lot of games. But what's impressed me the most with him is, even if there's games he's not rubber stamped in first halves. I mean, the second half against Liverpool at the Emirates, and I thought the second half, especially today, I thought he was excellent. He absolutely glues our midfield together. His positioning, his awareness, he gets us up the pitch. He's not just this is to me. There was always a myth with him. People just say, "Oh, he's a DM." Listen, he's more than a DM. Let's have it right. He offers a lot more than just popping it off to the creative players. He gives us a base, and he gives us a presence in that middle of the park. And listen, I think Carl's put in the chat. They're the three players I would have actually gone for player of the match. With Saliba, White, and Thomas Partey. But Partey, yeah, outstanding. Just really took the great game by the scruff of the neck and is becoming our Mr. Dependable, man. Superb.
Oh, isn't he just? Welcome to the show, Arsenal Analysed.
Yes,
this is about Partey. Oh, is it one of yours?
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to all of Albert's mates. His positioning, reading of the game is class. Now that he's had a proper run of games and settled into the team / Premier League, the reason we bought is starting to show. And then he said, no wonder he got to a UCL final and won a La Liga with Atleti. Now, that's the thing, isn't it? Again, we needed patience with old Thomas. Keep him fit. I'm worried about everyone coming back from the World Cup, but we'll talk about that 100%. In another time. So, you know, at the end of the day, you look at it like this. We've got players that are playing amazingly. You know, I mean, can you actually put a worth on Saliba? Can you? I mean, if there was ever a story that Mikel could just go like this to everybody and say the people that were slating him for a couple of years saying, Saliba doesn't want to play for Arsenal. Saliba doesn't want to play for Arteta. Saliba doesn't want to come back to Arsenal. Saliba this, Saliba that. Mikel doesn't know what he's doing. I was on podcasts for years listening to this. And I kept thinking in my head, if the boy is good enough, why would Arteta not want to bring him back? Maybe there's a reason he's out there, Albert. Maybe there's a reason he's out there, James. But no one was listening. No, I wouldn't say no one. There were the odd few, but most people like, bring him back. This is Mikel's fault. But there are reasons. Good managers have reasons for doing things that maybe fans can't see. And I used to sit there and think, if he's this good, he'll be coming back, James.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to get lost in the whole Saliba debacle about what happens with him, his development at Arsenal, because that's a long-winded story. I think the only thing we did get wrong was that period where he spent time with the under-23s when he should have been playing first-team football. That was it. But apart from that, I think we've managed his development correctly. I really did want to see him last season. And I don't think it'd have been particularly bad for us last season based on how he played for Marseille. But in terms of where we are now and how it's working out in the long run, he's 21. Like, we've got the guy for 10 years potentially if we can nail him down. It's just you look at him and you think he's 30 something because he's that imposing, he's that physical, he's that strong, he's that quick. He is he's priceless. I couldn't give you a figure. I mean, if we're talking, if you had to press me for 150 million, and then we can start a discussion. But even then, like, getting him signed up is, I mean, like Carl says, it's absolutely integral because him, along with Saka, along with Martinelli, all three of them, I think, are 21. So that's kind of the nucleus of the team going forwards. And I mean, I think he's raised Gabriel's game as well. I thought he was excellent today. Ben White as well, alongside him. I'm sure we'll talk about him later. Yeah. Immense. But Saliba, I mean, that run he made down the right-hand side as well, where he took it past a couple of players and then crossed it into the box. I mean, you just don't get that from your everyday centre-half. So, he is, we're blessed, truly. I think at the minute, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say best centre-back in the league.
What about Europe?
Well said, Cookie.
What about Europe? I think he's
good argument.
One of the best in Europe.
Very good argument. Very good argument.
Definitely.
He reminds me a little bit of Rio Ferdinand or Virgil van Dijk. He's just, I don't want to say too much, Albert, but he's just phenomenal, isn't
he? He is phenomenal, and it's right. He is priceless. I think for me, I mean, I saw a little bit of him when he was on loan, his time in France, and I was impressed with what I've seen. So a lot of people that were lucky to go and see him play in America said, look, when this kid comes back, man, you're going to see a serious defender. And I think even a lot of people are probably surprised of how good he is, unless it's the people that have known him from day one, Amanda, for example. But he's been excellent. He's one of them defenders for me that has the ability where he doesn't need to go to ground because his positioning, his reading in the game is superb. Like Cookie mentioned, he made that run today. I mean, the partnership with him and Gabriel in particular as well, man. I think I'd have to do my research and go across all the leagues in Europe and see centre-back partnerships. I think you have to go a long way to see one better than we've got at our club. 100%. People can argue that that's not. People might think that's Arsenal fan bias. I don't care. My two eyes don't lie to me. We have the bedrock of a defence, and Saliba is an integral part of that. And Cookie mentioned Gabriel; he was excellent today, excellent. But Saliba, I mean, even Jermaine Genius gave him man of the match, Amanda. I mean, that says it all. But yeah, he was excellent today. And listen, we're very, very lucky to have got this guy. And you know what? He's not even at his peak. That's the scary thing about it.
How old is he?
21.
Amazing.
Oh my life. I thought he was much older than that.
And the contract situation, I think when we knew he was coming back, when he did the interview, everything was quashed. We knew he was coming back to Arsenal, thank God. But the contract situation, listen, I think that will get sorted sooner rather than later. Because like I said, we don't want to get into a situation at our club yet again where players are in the last 2 years. Gabriel's done the contract extension, thank God. Hopefully it will come with Saliba pretty soon as well.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just going to bring Gentown 1969 in. Thank you for your comment, and thank you. And thanks everyone in the chat room. And I can see people saying that they didn't get a notification he was going out live. I pressed the normal buttons. I did what I normally do. It all looked normal to me. So I'm really sorry. I'll watch it back and see what happened, but not my fault. But you'll be able to catch up on audio as well, or watch this back later. Thank you for joining us. Gentown 1969. Don't forget about Gabriel. He was awesome today.
Don't forget him.
Can't forget him, can we? Because the partnership is just beautiful, isn't it, Cooks?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much I can say on him that I haven't already said. But I mean, I suppose Gabriel, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that when I'm looking at this Arsenal team and given the mistakes he has made on occasion this season, I've thought, okay, maybe next summer we could upgrade on this guy. But when he puts in performances like he did today, he completely shut me up because he's just the polar opposite almost of Saliba. Because he does have that side to his game where he can pass the ball, but what he's just really good at is just that dirty side of the game, just being in the right place at the right time, crunching tackles, strong headers. I mean, he's kind of like not a great comparison, but the Francis Coquelin to Santi Cazorla, if we're going back a few years. I just love the way he plays.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, that's one for the OG Arsenal fans. But I mean, touch on Saliba as well. I mean, he's not your conventional centre-half, is he? I mean, what he adds to his game, like you were saying, Albert, he doesn't need to go down because he reads it so well. And the partnership he's got with Gabriel, the understanding they've got together as well is fantastic. And I'm certain as well, if we had a situation where White had to slot in along Saliba, I think we'd probably see the same results. Because I know, you're losing that left-footed centre-half, but the understanding across that back line is fantastic. It's great to have a really physical back line, because I feel like we've missed that in a while. And everyone we've got there, apart from Tierney, Zinchenko, they're all quite big, imposing, strong guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gabriel deserves as many plaudits as Saliba got today because he was also excellent.
Oh, I just love them. I just want to talk about just a little bit. I mean, obviously we're coming up to the World Cup. I'm not really interested, and I have my reasons for that. But Ben White, I mean, how can he not be picked? I mean, I don't know if he has, going to be, not, whatever. I don't really take much interest in the World Cup, but how can he not go? Anyone?
Well,
I mean anyone in the chat room, do you think
brief,
Ben White should go? I mean, I don't want him to go. I don't want any of our Arsenal players to go, but...
Yeah, I mean, Albert, I'll let you take away with this one, but just very quickly, my thoughts on it. I mean, more full Southgate if he doesn't take him. It's such a stupid decision if you don't. And, it'd work in our favour if he doesn't go, because we've got him fresh, ready, got him a month for Arsenal to just train around, go to that warm weather camp in Dubai and come back ready and fit and firing for part 2 of the season. But as someone, that wants to see England do well in the World Cup, I think he's got to go. He's such a useful player. Whether Southgate plays a back 3, he can play at right centre-half. If he plays a back 4, he can play at right back. I'm certain, he could play at centre-half for England. There'd be no problems there. But I think it's a Southgate thing. I saw someone today saying that Mason Mount's probably going to go ahead of James Maddison, who's been fantastic this season. And it's just, Southgate's got his favourites, and he doesn't really seem to. And that's why, I don't I'm not overly excited about what England are going to do, because I kind of feel like if he picks, the same old people that we saw a year and a half ago, we've seen how poor England have been this year, especially. It won't fill me with excitement, and we need some fresh blood. And given that there's no warm-up games for the World Cup, and you're basically thrown in at the deep end as an international player, I can't see Southgate changing from what he already knows. So yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player. He should be playing with England, but if he doesn't, then I'm glad that we've got him injury-free at Arsenal for a month.
Well, there is that. And I think what they're going to do, they'll have some behind closed doors games, because there's going to be a lot of players not going to the World Cup in each team in the Premier League, isn't there? And all the leagues and everything. And it's just such a shame. God. And they're going to go to a country where it's extremely hot as well. So everything is weird for them. And when they come back, are they going to be fit? Are they going to be exhausted? I mean, the climate's going to be totally different. It's going to be probably virtually freezing when they come back here. Albert, I don't want the World Cup, but we've got to, and we're going to move on, because I could moan about it all day long. But anyway, next up I want to talk about is Saka. So on 63 minutes, he goes to take a corner. And I watched it and I thought, did that go in without being touched? Like, we all, obviously, Carl and I went mad downstairs. Beautiful corner. Gabriel obviously got on to the end of it, but I just want to come back to Saka in a second. Did anyone see what Cucurella, whatever he's called?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
He was hugging Saka like this, but literally not for a second. For the whole journey of the ball going in, in, still hugging Saka. Now, that is a penalty on its own anyway. Forget anything else. You can't hold a player like that. And he literally looks at the ball, goes in the net. He's still hugging him. And how he never got booked today, which I have to apologise to everyone on Twitter, because I thought he did get booked early on, and I told everyone he did.
He didn't, yeah.
I thought the ref was very good today. I have to say, and I never say that about Michael Oliver, but just the Saka thing. So, Albert, I'm just going to come to you on Saka. Where's the protection? Why is there no protection? I did like the fact that he kicked him back. I know I shouldn't, and he got a yellow card, but, it's only fair in certain respects. But talk to me about Saka, protection, the goal, everything, and then we'll come to Cooks on it.
When I think about protection, I think just there's been games this season, and today is one of them as well, where, I mean, he got the booking, but it was actually a foul in before that.
Yeah.
He got booked for diving at Southampton, which is just even still now ludicrous in my opinion. It's interesting you talk about the protection thing, Amanda, because I remember a few seasons ago, Wilf Zaha did an interview after one of the Palace games. He's very, very documented interview talking about protection and referees need to do more. And I actually think he's benefited from it, because I think he gets the kind of level of, let's say protection that Saka doesn't get. That's my own personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying now. Saka's not one of them people who's going to come out in a press conference after the game and maybe not hammer referees, but kind of have that point that Zaha made, which we're talking about in terms of protection. Saka's not going to do that, but it hasn't half helped Wilf Zaha. Trust me, the last couple of years in the Premier League, it has. He gets a lion's share of protection of free kicks. If anybody watches Palace, he does. And I think that's off the back of him having that interview. So there does need to be more. The referees need to be better. And you make a good point, Amanda. As much as you talk about the referees in this country, when I heard Mike Oliver got the game, I thought, you know what? He is probably the best out of the referees in the league anyway. To be fair, he is. Like, whether people admit that or not, I don't think there's many who go, oh, you know what? I'd rather have him over Michael Oliver refereeing a big game. He does get the big games, Amanda. He does. He just does. Him or Anthony Taylor, but more so Michael Oliver. But yeah, Saka, he does need to get a bit more protection. Will it happen, Amanda? I think pigs might fly before that happens.
Just wanted to make a point as well before we continue. David said Steph Catley whipped a corner straight into the goal for the Arsenal women's stand. Apparently it was identical. So
Steph.
Go on, Arsenal girls.
Brilliant
Brilliant
fullback.
Absolutely brilliant. They're doing well as well. And Nigel's just correcting me. It's not going to be as hot as it would have been. The average temperature is 24.
Definitely not.
Fair enough. That's good, but it's still not going to be 24 here.
I mean,
It's still very
saying
warm.
that, I did just check the weather for Doha, and it's 34 at a minute. Don't
Right.
ask why I did that, but I was just curious.
Good for you. See, I think it's going to be around the 30s. But anyway, moving on. Saka protection, the goal today. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we had the protection discussion a lot last week, and we'll probably end up having it every week until he ends up having a horrible injury. I feel like that's might just be what it takes for refs to start taking notice of it. I mean, like you said, Albert, the situation at Southampton where he got booked for diving when he was the one that got fouled, and the Cucurella one today just sums it up. I mean, that was Cucurella's fourth foul, Saka's first. And he's done that just purely out of frustration. I mean, I'm not denying that it's a foul, and it's up for debate whether it's a yellow card or not. But the fact Cucurella made so many fouls today, Saka makes one. Straight your book. It doesn't make sense. Really doesn't make sense. And we're going to be talking about this on repeat this season. But I suppose in a way, it's credit to how good Saka is. It's kind of expected for players to foul him, to double up on him. But it can't carry on. Just simply can't. Because otherwise we're going to ruin what was the England Player of the Year. And that shouldn't be forgotten because he's a fantastic player. And on the goal today, I mean, he's probably a bit sick that Gabriel took it off him, because if you look at it, it looks like it's going in anyway. But had to make sure that crossed the line. Great corner, another assist for him. And the thing we spoke about this time last year was that Martinelli, Saka and Smith Rowe, these are the players that need to add more goal contributions to that game. Well, Saka's doing it in abundance right now, and long may it continue.
So Robert's come up with a good point, which I've not really thought about. I personally think it's because of the club he plays for. If he played for City or Liverpool, I do feel he'd get more protection, or even Tottenham. Do you two quickly either agree or disagree with that?
What I would say to that, because there was a lot of stuff trending yesterday about the penalty Kevin De Bruyne got. If it was someone else, I'm trying to think. If Saka was in that position, he did exactly the same thing. Would we get that penalty? I'm not confident to say that we would.
The thing is with the Kevin De Bruyne, and me and Carl have been arguing about this all afternoon. Okay, did he dive? Yes, but he was caught on the foot, and that defender gave that referee and VAR a choice.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So it's all gone now, whether it's, do we think the tap on the foot did it? He's given them a choice. If you can see what you see, a lot of people don't think it's a penalty. I mean, that's the thing. No one's right or wrong. I'm not right or wrong. It's about opinions. But De Bruyne is clever, okay? They're not winning the game. They're drawing 1-0 at Fulham. We're hot on their tails, although we were above them. Clever. It's clever play. I think we would have got it, actually, because if you looked at something against Liverpool, I think we got something. Anyway, James, what do you reckon? Just moving on from that.
Oh, God, I don't know. It's a really tough one. I mean, VAR's been so inconsistent this season. I mean, I'll reference that game against Southampton again, because I think there were so many poor challenges in that just weren't reviewed by VAR. I couldn't get my head around that. And again in the midweek on Thursday night, I feel like there are a couple of things in there that probably should have been reviewed that weren't.
That referee was awful.
Yeah, really, really poor. So I mean, I feel like it's going to be a common theme throughout the course of the season.
It is, and the thing is, it has been for years, even before you two were born and I was going to Highbury. Okay, it's human error, it's life. We could all sit here, James, you could say it wasn't a penalty. When anything's subjective, you're never going to please everybody, but don't give the referee a decision to make. This is what I would say. If Gabriel would have done that on De Bruyne or someone else, I would have said, why did you give him the decision? Whether you think it's a penalty or not, don't be stupid. So look, I agree with this. I watched this today because I said that. Kane tried to engineer pen today by leaving his leg against a defender. Thankfully, ref didn't give it, but should have carded Kane. Again, initially I thought it was a penalty. When I saw it back, I was like, no. That is Harry Kane at his best, isn't it, really?
Yeah, he done it against Everton, didn't he, a few weeks ago?
Or that is just him. And we're just going to have to get on with it as well. LL Cool J's here. Hi, James. Go on, James. Only 2 other players got the foul. De Bruyne got. Son and Kane was a horrendous decision, in my opinion. But the big team gets the rub. We used to get them when we was in our pomp. I think it is a hard one, isn't it? And it just depends who's on VAR that day. Is there going to be VAR in the World Cup? I wouldn't know.
Yeah, definitely.
You'd hope so.
Yeah. I reckon you'll see a better standard of refereeing as well.
Okay, so we go 1-0 up, and then that was in 63 minutes, and we literally have half an hour to Plutz. For anyone that doesn't know, Plutzing means stressing, like literally pacing up and down, worrying. Now, I started to stress at about 75, 80 minutes. It started to panic me a little bit because if you're an Arsenal fan for many years, it's so ingrained in you that we lose at the end. We just lose games, stupid things in the last few minutes. It hasn't really happened, thank God, and I'm touching wood this season, but I still started to stress quite a bit. Cooks, did you think that they came on to us a little bit more, or do you think we had complete control from the goal onwards?
I was really surprised because, like you said, in years gone by, we might have ended up losing that game despite having a 1-0 lead with half an hour to go. So, yeah, I mean, I was a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous as well. But you just had to watch the screen, really, to see that we were in total control of the situation. We were so dominant in that last period of the game. In fact, I'd go as far as saying it was our most dominant period in the game in terms of just controlling it, letting the game play out, doing the little clever dark arts, running the clock down wherever we could, which I really like because we've not done that in the past all too well. But Chelsea just didn't offer anything. I mean, there was a spell where they had more of the ball and they threw a few men forward, but it all ended up just with us back with the ball. And in the end, we had, I can't quite remember, was it Jesus that was through on goal? We had a good opportunity to score and we should have made it 2-0, which we just wasted.
Well,
yeah. I mean, had that shot just go over the bar. Definitely should have done something.
We could have won 4-0. Easy. I don't even remember Ramsdale making a save, but I just want to go back to something I said before about Cucurella. It would have been a penalty, and James has just come and said that apparently the ref's report today said if we didn't score the goal, we'd have got the penalty due to Cucurella holding on to Xhaka. I think just
I read that very quickly. Absolutely. I mean, Cucurella, 70-odd million quid.
Oh my God, was
mental.
he?
It's mental money.
It costs a lot of money.
I don't think he's a bad player, but I mean, I'd be scratching my head if I was a Chelsea fan because he's not world class. Every time I watch him at Chelsea, he's been okay. That's it. And I thought today he was just roasted by Saka.
So Brenny K74, evening, or I cannot remember the last time we went there and it was so comfortable. So Albert, did you feel comfortable with the last 20 minutes to go? Well, actually, it was 30 minutes.
You know what? When we got the goal, I actually thought we had a good 10-minute period where we actually could have got the second goal and just killed the game completely. Cookie makes a point, and I'd seen a bit of Chelsea this season, but I mean, even in the second half, man, they didn't really do anything. They like Ramsdale didn't. I think they had one shot on target. If I've got that right, I'm not sure. But they didn't trouble Ramsdale at any point. Gabriel and Saliba dealt with Aubameyang and Broja when he came on. They brought on what's his name, Conor Gallagher, to give a bit more legs in midfield. I don't think that made much of a difference. Chelsea's sort of in that period where they've got a lot of injuries, but they're not playing that fantastic. And you've got to remember as well, Amanda, Chelsea hadn't lost at home in 12 games, no comps, and we went there and got one today. So that's another good feat for Arsenal today to go there and beat them. Not just for the third time in, I think, since 74, which is that's a long time. But yeah, I didn't. To me, there wasn't the only reason why we would have conceded today, or even at worst lost the game, was through individual mistakes, which didn't happen today, which has happened earlier in the season, which is we've gone on to win games, but it's put us in tricky situations. But we didn't allow ourselves to get in a position today where mistakes cost us. So defensively, that's why it's so buzzing to get the clean sheet. But I felt okay, Amanda. I thought we managed it pretty decently well in that second half, if I'm being honest.
So I'm just going to read out some stats to you, and then I'm going to go on to something else that I tweeted today, okay? 8 points ahead of Spurs, game in hand. 11 points ahead of United. 13 points ahead of Chelsea. 15 points ahead of Liverpool. That's where we stand at the moment. On the 6th of November, we're top of the league. We are 15 points ahead of Liverpool, 13 Chelsea, 11 United, 8 Spurs, and a game in hand on Spurs. Now, if you'd have said this to us, I mean, obviously, every single Gooner is on top of the planet. I've not seen any Arteta out, weirdly. I've not seen any moans and groans. It's wonderful. We're all together. The support at Stamford Bridge today, I didn't even hear a Chelsea song. I didn't hear them.
They seem very quiet. Yeah.
Very quiet. They knew. A few of my Chelsea friends said, "You're going to beat us today." And I was like, don't know. But the insanity of it all is that I'm sitting here doing a podcast again, talking about being top of the league. Now, I've always joked on the last few weeks on my social media with my close friends, we can't win the league. We're not. We're enjoying the ride. We're just here, let's just get top 4. I'll be upset if we don't get top 4. And when the final whistle went, I was so annoyed with Arsenal because now they've got me believing that there's a chance that we could actually win the league. Okay. Now, I've not lost my marbles, but I think that when you start to look at the stats now, it's a weird season. We can't call it because it all breaks up after we finish at Wolves next Saturday night. And late next Saturday night, I'm going to do a post-game pod because that'll be the last one until Christmas, New Year time. So I'm going to stay up late after that game. Win, lose or draw, I'll be on. At any point when that whistle went, James, did you think, hold on? Or not? Are you still one of those who's like, just get top 4?
I mean, if we didn't get top 4 from this position, it would be an almighty collapse. So I think, we can hopefully have that in the bag fairly soon into the new year. I don't want to be talking about top 4. I do want to be talking about us going for the title because why the hell not when we're there? Like, it's our best ever start to a Premier League season. I think it is. I think I've got that right.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's an indicator of where this team can go, then, unless we have really bad luck with injuries, then that's the only thing I can see unraveling us. Obviously, I do think, City will push us all the way, and I think we'll push City all the way. I hope we'll push City all the way. The only thing I would say is when you look at that man that I referenced earlier, not going to name any names, but he feels like maybe the difference maker. And, if they were to win the league, then I'd hold my hands and be like, yeah, fair enough. But I think whilst we're there and whilst we've got the capabilities of what we have currently got, then let's do it. Let's do it for as long as we possibly can do. I mean, we don't need someone. I mean, the one thing I would say about City is when Haaland wasn't in the squad for the past couple of games, they haven't looked as convincing. He is that much of a difference maker. So if he was to have a period out of the team, then I think we could really go for this. But if we took the league back 10, 15 years, I think we'd be top of the pile by 7, 8, 9 points because it's only for Man City being there. Just look how much of a gap we've created between us, City, and the rest of the teams in the league. There really does seem to be that kind of a, gap forming between us, City, and everyone else. So, yeah, we're in a great position. I would still maintain if we finished in the Champions League and won the Europa League, be over the moon with that.
Oh,
that would be a great
yeah.
season for me. But I want the Premier League now. I really do.
See, now, Albert, Phil Macker's making me nervous because I don't see it like this. Top 4 is already done. Let's just agree we are in the title race with City and enjoy finishing top or second and winning a cup and finally being Champions League next season. That is the dream. Absolutely. But I'm not saying that. I don't think anything's done. I don't know what's going to happen come mid-December when our players are back. Albert, how do you feel?
Cool. Let me unpack that comment. There's a lot in there, to be honest. My ideal season for me personally would be top 4 in the Europa League. That's me.
And me.
In the short. In regards to winning the league, ask me in February. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna. No, I don't think we're gonna win the league now. Personally, what I think we have done is we've taken the conversation from Arsenal getting top 4, potentially getting top 4. That they'll definitely get top. I think they'll get top 3. And I thought that a few weeks ago, looking at the start of the season, the games and the sort of the form and the results that are happening around us. What my biggest thing for Arsenal this season, and has been for quite a few seasons actually, Amanda, is yes, it's great to beat the Fulhams, the Bournemouths, the Palaces and those teams. because there were times when we're going through seasons we're not picking up wins in these games. But for me, it was bigger than that and getting top 4. It was about competing against the other big clubs, the top 5. Before today, 5 wins in 50 away from home. That's a horrendous record. Now it's 1651. So it's going to get better over the years, hopefully very soon. But that is one thing for me. It's about competing and winning the statement games. Hence the reason why we're having questions like this that came up before, and we're having podcasts talking about league titles, because the players are giving us as fans a chance to, are giving us a chance to believe that it's possible. That feeling's not happening for Arsenal fans for many a year. So I get why that talk is out there, and it will continue. Listen, man, let's get it right. When the World Cup's done and we play Tottenham away in January, if we go and beat them, and then, whenever City, they're going to reschedule that. I don't know when them games. I have to check my calendar, but
we know when it's going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to do it in May. We play them the end of April, weirdly.
Yeah.
So we could play them twice in 3-4 weeks. Look, we don't know, because look, if the season was to continue now, then we'd know a lot more. But we've never been in this position before. So many things are weird this season. So we've got to stop. And
but it's
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Gone.
But it's also important, I've said this so many times, to strengthen from a position of strength, which Arsenal didn't do last January. We have to do that in January. I don't care whether we're top by 5 points, 1 point, 6 points, whatever points it may be. Strengthen from position of strength, because we are not fully adequate in some areas that will assist us and make us better.
Well, that's what Paul Nels just said. Hi, Paul. We'll be close to second if we stay healthy. It's too early. If we get reinforcements in the Jan transfer window, we can go for it. But Carl Stark's just come up with, which is something we keep forgetting, we've still got ESR to come back and a couple of signings in January, hopefully. ESR. We've missed him so much. It'd be lovely to have him back on the bench in January, won't it? And then to start for us. So that's for sure. It's a lovely dream. Does anybody else out there think we can we can do it? I'm not saying we are, but I just got annoyed with us, and I was like, damn, you've started it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? Yeah, I think Sultan Murad Han, welcome back to the show. We need at least 2 players. I think we do. How amazing is it to be in this position, though? It's phenomenal, isn't it? It's a beautiful feeling to know that. And if we beat Wolves next Saturday, we will be top till over Christmas until Boxing Day.
It is mad, yeah.
And I'll tell you something else as well. Boxing Day, West Ham's 8:00 at night, which is not good for families and stuff out there.
Is that at home?
That's at home at 8:00. No, it's at home.
No,
we're at home. So it's Boxing Night at the Emirates. It's going to be rocking.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, Wolves is away. Sorry, I'm talking about West Ham. It's going to be rocking. I've already told my family I'm going. I'm going to be there that night, because we've not been. It will be incredible atmosphere, that is for sure. But we've got Brighton in the as I call it, the Carabao Cup, but it's the Carabao Cup
on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. I won't be going to that. And then 7:45, I think, next Saturday night, we play live against Wolves. And I'm not being funny. Every game's massive. It don't matter who you play. Every game is massive. We've had a few clean sheets, which is nice.
Beautiful.
We beat Wolves because I think City have got Brentford. So I think you can sort of, no disrespect to Brentford, but I think you can safely say they'll probably beat them now. It's all about just keeping the momentum going, and that's for sure. So everyone in the chat room, this is that time of the night where you tell me where you're all from, so you're going to get a quick shout out. I think Cookie's got to go. Have you got to go, James? Or you're all right for a few more minutes?
Yeah, a few more minutes is fine.
You're sure you're okay? All right. What's your prediction for Brighton? And who do you think is going to play, James? Just quickly. And what's your prediction for Wolves as well?
Brighton's a tricky one. I do think, Arteta went strong in it last year. I'm not sure he'll go as strong because we were in a much healthier position than we were last year. So I do expect the likes of Marquinhos to start, Nelson to start, Sams. I think it'd be very similar to the Europa League
game,
teams. But I do think, the likes of Xhaka, Gabriel, those kind of mainstays that have played in both the Europa and the Premier League, I think they might be dropped out, and you might potentially see someone like Smith come in. You might see a couple of other youth players come in. I think it'll be a tough game on Wednesday because I think Brighton will probably be a lot stronger in their team selection than we will be. But I still think we can do it. You know, whilst we're on a high, we're at home. Why not? I don't think it'll be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a tight scoreline. I'll go for 2-1 for that one.
What, for Brighton?
Yeah, for Brighton.
And so Nigel's gone Arsenal 2-0, Brighton, Wolves 1, Arsenal 3. What's your Wolves one?
I think we'll keep another clean sheet at Wolves. I mean, they've been so out of sorts. I mean, they've been quite poor, to be honest. I'd be disappointed if we didn't go there and win. Last season, I mean, it was a really tough ground to go to. It's always been a tough ground to go to in the Premier League, but this is like the weakest Wolves side I think we're coming up against. So, don't think it'll be a massive win, but 2-0.
Okay. Albert?
So the Brighton game, it's a tricky one. I think Arsenal will 2-1 Arsenal for Wednesday. Yeah. Wolves is interesting because they won't have the new manager bounce because Lopetegui won't be starting until after the World Cup.
Oh, okay.
So whether that makes a difference, we don't know. But Wolves are a weird one. Their issue is they don't score enough goals. So I can't see them pummeling 2 or 3 goals against Arsenal. Touch wood. So that's a good scoreline. I think Nigel said it was. I'm going to go Arsenal 3-1 actually as well against Wolves.
Okay, I'm going Brighton 2-0, and I'm actually going to go 3-1 for Wolves. Sorry, Arsenal 3, Wolves 1. I'm going to do a little few shouts of where you are. I've put a few up already. James is the Marbella of Essex, Chelmsford. Kazakhstan, I love that. That's amazing. Hi, Azat. Vancouver Island, Canada, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes. London Borough, Romford, South America in Guyana. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, as Craig says. Basingstoke, we get everywhere, and I'm just going to put a few of your predictions up as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. We all seem to be sort of on the same wavelength with Brighton and Wolves scores. Melvin's from the Field of N. I know where you are. Oh, yes, as Cole says, and I should have said this, please subscribe. Please press like. Please leave your comments in the YouTube box because the more people comment, the more people see it. And I really appreciate all feedback, good or bad. That's absolutely fine. What I would like to say as well, during the World Cup, I'm going to be doing some shows called What Arsenal Mean to Me. I'm going to be getting all different guests on just to keep the pod going, just to keep the Arsenalness going. They're going to start at 9 o'clock at night, so you're not going to miss any World Cup games. So if you subscribe, you can see which guests are coming on. Stuart, the photographer, said he's coming back. I've got some other fans coming on. Dave Hillier's coming on. So there's all different people. And my little podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Kevin Campbell, might be coming on as well. So please stay tuned. Right, everybody. To those that are top of the league, have a most wonderful rest of your evening. Enjoy your week. Okay. Here's to Arsenal beating Brighton and Wolves. I'd like to thank my guest, Cookie, as forever. Thank you, Cooks, for coming on and staying with us.
Pleasure as always. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. I just want to do one more from Nigeria.
Yes.
Big up to Nigeria. I thought I'd do that for you, Albert.
Yes, of course, man.
Look at this, Mogadishu. Wow. I'm so honoured, honestly. Thank you all. Thank you, Fiona, as well. And thanks, everyone, for their support. I say it every week, but I really mean it. I really do. Albert, thanks for coming back on.
Of course, Amanda.
Right, Cookie, tell everyone where they can find you.
Me?
Yes, we want to find you, Cookie. Yep. Come on.
Not the area you live in.
Roaming around the streets, just looking for some sort of work. No, just find me on Twitter at JECook96. That's it.
Go and follow James on Twitter. He's very good on there. Albert, where can everyone find you?
Thank you, Amanda. Everybody, you can find me, Albert JTV. Did my match review earlier. I'm going to be another pod in about 20 minutes somewhere. But yeah, I'm around here and there and everywhere. You'll see me tweeting and Instagram posting. So come and check me out and subscribe to the channel. And
look at this. I love this from Phil. Love Albert, but he has the bedroom of a 9-year-old with all these little Arsenal shirts at the back.
Of course,
That's
man.
fantastic.
Want to get more, Phil?
Oh dear. Enjoy the ride, Gooners. Enjoy it all. We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know if we're going to be challenging for the league come March, April, May. Let's hope so. Thank you all for joining me. Same old Arsenal. Up the Gunners. Always Arsenal. Good night.